At cotton farms like this in South Africa, it used to be that the cotton would be sold on the world market at prices so low and so unpredictable that farmers could not earn a living, and so they abandoned the cotton industry.
The producers and the ginners felt, something has to be done in order to get the industry to revitalize it, because if we're not going to do anything, the whole thing will collapse.
Realizing the opportunity for growth, the Sustainable Cotton Cluster was formed in 2014. The program is funded by the Department of Trade and Industry through the Industrial Development Corporation. The National Cotton Cluster provides a coordinated platform to all the stakeholders in the cotton value chain. This new idea is revolutionizing the supply chain to ensure that farmer, gin owner, spinner, manufacturer and retailer can make sustainable profits while improving the lives of people and protecting the planet. Most retailers and brands that incorporate sustainable land-based materials in their end products face volatile prices, variations in quality and uncertain quantity in their supply chain. Lowest cost buying as a sourcing strategy will lead to diminishing returns and higher sustainability risks. And many links in the supply chain cannot commit to the investment needed to improve quality and meet sudden changes in demand. The competition to offer the lowest possible price for primary materials means that information about true costs is withheld or lacking between each individual link in the supply chain. The challenge lies in the complexity, risks, and lack of line of sight through all of the supply chain participants.
The better we could integrate supply chains, the better the opportunity to remove inefficiencies and to really optimize the supply chain. So there are so many opportunities to create that additional value for everybody in the supply chain.
The new approach has built a virtual technology platform. Retailers identify their requirements, which are then formally structured into targeted resource and planning at every link in the supply chain. Transparency and trust between all supply chain stakeholders enables cooperation to achieve the traceability and quality standards that are necessary for near sourcing and quick response. This film follows a group of experts from global industry and organizations as they examine these new concepts and tools in supply chain management. Their investigation took them 1,600 miles around South Africa. The investigative team that visited South Africa saw how new behavior needed to be enabled using different logistics and different tools. And they saw how to meet simultaneously the challenges of agility and fast response with fairness for the farmer.
Sustainability is also about good business, reducing cost, reducing waste, being more efficient, and providing a service, to the customer at the end of the day, which is required.
New behaviours are needed to share information about problems and intentions openly, and cooperate and commit to support all players across a supply chain. Shared data and knowledge underpins the investment necessary to guarantee the life of income-generating but fragile assets. Quality in retail product starts in the cotton field with the farmer.
It is true that the bigger the seed, the more fibre it produces.
More than 1,500 farmers in the cluster have been advised and helped to meet the global standards set by the Better Cotton Initiative. The results so far have seen a 300% increase in the amount of cotton production in South Africa.
A huge percentage of our black farmers already have access in their own land. We've developed a skills development training course that deals with those aspects: preparation and planting, plant protection, pest diseases and weeds, pre-harvest, crop preparation, harvesting and grading, as well as financial management.
Cotton is arriving now from the farmer. It goes over the weigh bridge, it's been weighed. 3 samples at different areas are taken. We call it pre-grading. The most important reason for the grading is we want to pay him a certain amount in advance. So every week we pay the farmer more or less a certain percentage of about 70%. The reason why we do that is to give the farmer the opportunity to have some cash flow to go on with the next crop. So the whole traceability system that implemented, we are 100% on it. So when that module arrived here, you saw that specific number on the module. It's been documented onto the scale into the system, and it can be traced back to where that cotton was harvested. Everything that you want to know from the farmer is then documented through BCI.
Once dirt and leaf are cleaned out of the cotton, it goes to the gin stand to separate seed from fibre. The gin fibre, or lint, is now pressed together into bales. The cluster encourages farmers and ginners to work together to supply consistent quality bales to the next stages in the chain. And then the cluster verifies the result.
We are responsible for the grading and classification of the South African cotton crop. What is important is that for each and every bale which is produced in South Africa, it's been tested here before it goes out. These systems can give me color values, can give me the color grade, give me leaf codes, and all the necessary information to determine color grade and leaf grade.
For the farmer to try and determine the market value is impossible. So this service really assists the farmer in making that decision. He knows exactly what that fibre, what it's worth and what price he can generate or receive in the marketplace.
I'm sure the farmers take pride in the fact that what they're making is going into a Mr. Price, I think, is a major retailer here. Mm-hmm. And they can say, okay, this was grown on my farm. On X and X date, the yield was so-and-so. You can take a lot of pride in that.
They are able to develop this business model where the retailers are committing to buying a certain units like 1 year in advance, and then all the players in the supply chain are following the lead. That's amazing, right? Like, imagine as a farmer, like how much risk's taken off my shoulder that now I am able to plant the crop knowing that I have a buyer lined up.
Under the cluster system, known demand from the retailer will be pulling desired quality and quantities from the farmer and from the gin. This means that consistent quantity and reliable quality is pulled through as input for the spinner. With known and dependable quality of fibre that accords with a stipulated specification, and reliable freedom from contaminating or foreign bodies in the fibre, spinning machinery can operate at higher speed for longer periods with reduced maintenance, resulting in higher output at higher quality. Known parameters for input and machine performance also makes it easier to make technical innovations and to adapt quickly to market opportunities.
We are developing a fabric with open end.
In this case, a technique of layering yarns produces an attractive fashion material at close to a standard price.
Obviously, a retailer who's in t-shirts, whoever is here in t-shirts, I'm not sure, should be able to tell me whether this fabric will sell or not.
It will sell.
It will?
Mm-hmm. Well, it has more of a stylish look to it, so it's got a little texture going on. It's not just your basic t-shirt.
That's nice.
Open communication between spinner and gin also allows elimination of duplicated processes or machinery. Finally, the supply to the next link in the chain, to the manufacturer, becomes dependable. Knowledge of the source material is vital during the processing stages. One catalyst for the changes offered by the cluster is the Industrial Development Corporation of the South African government. Calibri's future was threatened by the slump in the South African cotton industry that took place several years ago.
This factory for a year was dead. There was nothing. It was dark.
IDC and the management team talked frankly to retailers and defined their requirements so that they could serve as a basis for investment in skills and machinery to meet those needs.
When we first started up the factory again in 2013, that machine broke down. And it cost us over R1 million to get it going again, and it took 5 weeks to get there. So we flew a technician out from Switzerland, and he programmed some parameters in there. Within half an hour it was working.
So when you walk through the factory now, it is much changed. When we restarted, we were doing about 5 tons, buying 5 tons of cotton a week. Now up to about close to 20 tons. There is an element of inefficiency in our business models, which are slowly being weeded out through organizations such as the cluster. And our current employment's up again to about 280.
Yeah.
We've had to re-strategize. And with the onset of quite a few retailers moving to quick response type models, it suited the local manufacturers. The cluster concept for us is definitely, it's new. But the scary part's been sharing. And running the risk of sharing your perceived competitive advantages with your competitors. You know, they might end up stealing some business from you, but the onus is always on you to continue innovation, to find new products.
Yeah, I agree with the whole thing about being an innovation leader and staying ahead of the curve, and you can share your resources, but as long as you're still developing and being creative, staying ahead.
I think what it's shown is that as an industry, we should be learning from each other so that we entice the market to buy from us and reduce their imports, but rather buy locally.
History made in South Africa in the cotton industry when we sat in the boardroom in Cotton SA with the whole sector around one table.
I'm in multi-stakeholder working groups with NGOs, with experts, with our competing brands, saying how can we help improve this supply chain to make sure that they're starting to integrate sustainable practices, they're starting to implement traceability systems so that we really know where this raw material is coming from.
South Africa's retailers are now feeding information into the cluster. As primary producers, processors and manufacturers absorb that information and adapt accordingly, the retailers are updated on true costs and the investments needed to maximize agility and efficiency of supply.
Chipping away and incrementally saying, well, maybe we can tweak this or tweak that. You're really saying, no, we have to think about this differently. And as soon as brands and suppliers can make that shift, I think it will go faster than if we constantly just chip away but keep everybody in their comfort zone. So
the cluster model has got enough enough scale to maybe influence the brands and the retailers easier.
Lowest possible raw material cost competitive models are failing. They cannot assure dependability of supply, and they cannot react to demand changes fast enough.
The question would then be, is your business agile enough to quickly adjust and adapt in order to meet the expectations of consumers? And if the answer is no, then you will definitely be left behind.